Oh boy. So slow tonight. Alright, we gotta get this thing turned on. Ew. We got 1 like, 0 in there so far. What's going on? Where are we at? 2 on there so far. Come on, everybody, hit the like button as we come in. Hit the like. Hit like as we come in. Don't forget, everybody, hit the like button as we come in. Right now, we're just waiting for the other film to turn on. I don't know what's going on taking server today. Make sure everything is all working. But we gotta have a long day, it looks like. How do you guys all enjoy yesterday? I know the Littards here. Littards, did you at least enjoy yesterday? Did anybody enjoy last night, yesterday? Come on. Did we have a good time at the city hall? And watch you Littards walk around there? Because I know I did. I always have a good time. Right now we're just waiting for a phone to get on there. Oh, now it's going to close the app right here. I haven't got on there yet. Fucking YouTube. Why is it not working? Why is it not? Straight. Might have to go to. I'll go right there. Finally, after 20 years. Thank you. We want to make sure the Littards can hear what we say. If we don't get it done now, man, they will be having a heart attack later. Come on, we got 4 likes here. Oh yeah, come on, we need 4 more likes. Come on, let's go. We're just waiting for this thing to get going, guys. I don't know why it's taking our. YouTube sucks. Hold on. Alright, here we go. Maybe, finally. Maybe. Let's see. Watch. Play the damn thing. Watch later. Play all the things here. Because I'm gonna. Oh, we lost some Littards, man. What happened?
Do you know what eating banana can do to your liver?
What can it do?
Bananas are actually edible when they're still green.
Oh, really? Oh, yeah? Let's tell Littards then. I know every time I do this here, freaking YouTube. Let's go. Come on. Oh, yeah, I know Littards. Does it every time.
Today, I'll show some of the darker sides of Congress and government. You'll understand why, deep in your belly, you love your country, but don't trust your government. Alex
Come on, YouTube.
Jones and RFK Jr. will show you the depths to which Big Pharma and the deep state will go to poison us and our kids. There's a lot of big stories, so let's jump right in. Thank you for always sharing and liking these videos. In a fiery Senate hearing yesterday, Health and Human Service Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. defended his restructuring of the CDC, likening the agency to a construction site in need of a complete overhaul. For over 3 hours, RFK sparred with bipartisan lawmakers, addressing accusations. Director Susan Menarez after 29 days and the resignation of 3 senior officials. He dismissed vaccine misinformation claims, criticized the CDC's pandemic response, including school closures and mask mandates that were basically implemented by schools, not by scientists, and justified slashing mRNA research and advisory panel membership, restoring the agency to gold standard. Now, Republican Senators Bill Cassidy, John Barrasso, and Tom Tillis were among the Republicans that also pushed back on our offensive were Ron Wyden, Bernie Sanders, and Elizabeth Warren. In fact, Ron Wyden accused RFK of endangering the country and children with reckless, conspiracy-driven policies. RFK fired back, citing rising chronic disease rates under career politicians like Wyden, and touting HHS winning on the food contamination, food dye, and lowering drug prices front. Vice President J.D. Vance went off on X, backing RFK Jr., saying that these people were being horrible to somebody who was hired specifically to come in and remodel the entire agency. Let me show you some of the clashes that happened so that you can understand just how bad it really got.
All the evidence is transparent for the first time in history, and you were never there complaining when the pharmaceutical companies were picking those people and then running their products through with no safety.
You can characterize it any way you want. I quoted them today. What I said was accurate. What you said were lies. You just
Senator,
moving the Titanic.
Senator, are you saying that a mRNA vaccine has never been associated with myocarditis or pericarditis in teenagers?
I am simply.
Is that what you're trying to tell us?
I am simply trying to say that the people that you have put on that panel, after firing the entire,
you're evading the question.
I'm asking the questions here.
You're evading that question.
I'm asking the questions, Mr. Kennedy. I'm asking the questions for Mr. Kennedy on behalf of parents and schools and teachers all over the United States of America who deserve so much better than your leadership. That's what this conversation is about, Mr. Chairman.
Senator, first time in the history of that agency.
Yeah.
Watch what magnesium does to your bowels.
If you have to wipe more than 4 times after you poop, here's why.
The Mayo Clinic confirms that stuck number 2s can cause these embarrassing skid marks in your undies.
Really?
You see, when those stuck...
Right, so as per usual, Democrats didn't show up with any facts or stats or data. That guy literally said to you, I know is true because I'm quoting Big Pharma. So his rationale for why RFK Jr. is bad, that Trump picked a bad person, that mRNA technology is great, is because he's quoting Big Pharma. Give me a break. You think Big Pharma wouldn't lie in order to keep their profits going? Let me show you another big lie. Alex Jones, he goes off for 13 minutes. I'm only going to show you a minute and a half. But did you know, and I've been checking this with some of my black friends, did you know that vaccines disproportionately harm black Americans, specifically black boys? They know this, and yet they cram it even harder on the black community. Let me show this to you.
But in 2002, CDC did an internal study of Atlanta, Fulton County, Georgia children, and looked at children who got the MMR vaccine on time and compared those to kids who got them later. So in other words, kids who got them before 36 months and kids who got them afterward. The data from that study showed that black boys who got the vaccine on time had a 260% greater chance of getting an autism diagnosis than children who waited. The chief scientist on that, Dr. William Thompson, the senior vaccine safety scientist at CDC, was ordered to come into a room with 4 other co-authors by his boss, Frank DiStefano, who's the head of the Immunization Safety Press, and ordered to destroy that data. And then they published it without that fact.
I wish I could get the black leaders to talk about it. Louis Farrakhan does. They're 5 times more likely to get hurt by it than anybody else. And it'll kill white people too.
Yep.
All of this stuff is aimed at you.
Wake up, little Darcy.
But you're being taught that it's the white truck driver down the street that's screwing you over. He's got all the same bills. He didn't get any leg up. In fact, he's getting persecuted because he's a white man. By the same system poisoning all of us, so he'll turn against you and you'll turn against him. So we're all fighting with each other. Bill Gates can sit back while he kills all of us.
Yep.
It's our boys that are being targeted.
All right. So data shows that boys are disproportionately more sensitive to what's in these vaccines. And most of these vaccines, they're not tested. Yesterday in the hearing, they admitted some of these vaccines were tested for 4 days.
Yeah.
And then they threw out the data.
Yeah.
But because they have 100% immunity protection, they don't have to go through the same standards as other medicine. But did you hear what they said? They found a study in 2002 that black boys under the age of 36 months are 260% more likely to get autism if they're vaccinated, and they destroyed the findings. But luckily, a whistleblower came forward. Now, it wasn't all bad. Let me show you another piece of this.
What you should be doing is honoring your promise that you made when you were looking to get confirmed in this job.
You're going like this.
And that is, you promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them. You just changed the classification of the COVID vaccine.
I'm not taking them away from people, Senator.
It takes it away if you can't get it from your pharmacist.
Well, most Americans are going to be able to get it from their pharmacy for free. Most Americans will be able to get it from their pharmacy for free.
The question is, everyone who wants it, that was your promise.
I know I didn't. I never promised that I was going to recommend products with which there is no indication.
When you said...
And I know you've taken $855,000 from pharmaceutical companies, Senator.
Did you hold up a big sign saying that you were lying when you said that? Because you are the one who said you would not take them away. Now, Senator,
I'm not taking them away from it.
Secretary,
you want me to indicate a product for which there is no clinical data? Senator, is that what you want?
Yep.
Yikes. Okay. A couple of things. Number one, he points out, you've taken $855,000 recently from Big Pharma, and yet you're going to sit here and judge me, who's taken no money from Big Pharma. The other thing that she's conflating is she's saying, you promised that people would have access. He's literally taking nothing off of the market. The only thing he did was he said, we are no longer in a pandemic and you don't have emergency authorization use. But you can still go get a COVID shot if you're stupid enough to do it.
Yeah.
Now, I don't mean to offend anybody in my community, but if you've watched me long enough, I believe that these are poison. I read the data every single day about turbo cancer, myocarditis, pericarditis. It's terrible. Yeah. It's one of the worst products ever. They said in this very hearing that 32,000 reported deaths from the COVID shot within the first 2 days of getting it. They also said that this only represents 1% of the problems that are out there. So now listen to RFK Jr. as he spars with Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
Dr. Oz,
so you got a few doctors who agree with you, and I'm giving you the
Not a few doctors. What you're talking about is there's a big difference, Senator, between established science and the scientific establishment, which has been co-opted by the pharmaceutical industry.
So you're telling the American people that the American Medical Association, representing hundreds of thousands of people, have been co-opted and that they should not trust their doctors. And the American Academy of Pediatrics, and by the way, just for the record,
Every single Republican, I don't mean to be political here, Mr. Chairman, has received as well.
And I'm telling you, the American Heart Association has been co-opted by the food
Everybody but you, Senator. But you know what? When you ran for president, you know, we have a corrupt campaign finance system. Maybe you will agree with me on that. Okay, you were already president. You got a billionaire behind it. You received $300,000 from people, not from the industry, people in it, as I did, from individuals. You corrupt. President Trump got $3 million. Every Republican got corporate PAC money for the pharmaceutical industry. Democrats as well. Everybody is corrupt. But you? That's what we're looking at? I don't think so. And I think the issue now...
I don't even know what you're talking about.
So, Big Pharma did not give any money. I love what Bernie Sanders is here. Okay, we know that elections are corrupt. We know that campaign finance is corrupt. Everybody has received corrupt money. I received corrupt money. Republicans have received corrupt money.
Yep.
And what? You're the only one that's good. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm the only one here that never received money from Big Pharma.
For the first time in human history, aliens have made contact. The world holds its breath.
So, yeah. And I love how Bernie Sanders is like, I don't mean to make this political. The only people coming down on RFK Jr. were the Democrats that are backed the most. Anyway, I wanted to share that with you. There's so much more, but I'm not going to go through it. Okay, let's jump on to another topic. This one is crazy. Yesterday, ICE had one of its biggest busts for illegal immigrants in the workforce. American factories, in fact. Over 450 illegal immigrants were found working at a Hyundai battery plant after Biden gave $5 billion specifically to create American jobs. They went ahead and hired 475 illegal immigrants at the Hyundai battery factory in Georgia. Now, these are jobs that should have gone to American workers. Instead, it went to illegal immigrants. It's the single largest crackdown that we've ever seen. Now, this is a huge part of Georgia's economy. Oh, don't you think that there are probably Georgians that would want those jobs? You're telling me you couldn't find 475 American workers in Georgia I would want that job. There's not 475 black Americans in Georgia that would want a manufacturing job. There's not 475 white Americans, Latinos, Hispanics, Asians. You're telling me that? I don't think so. In order to create these batteries for the clean energy agenda. And what happened? They came in and they gave these jobs to illegals. Then you have Gen Z complaining to Charlie Kirk and others. We can't find a job that pays a livable wage. We can't make it in America. And then they dug a little bit deeper and they found out that a lot of these immigrants, they're living in households with 5 families in one house. These people, they're getting paid slave labor wages. These should be going to Americans. Now, let me show you this. This woman, I believe she sums up better than even I can the theft of your jobs here in America. Let's go ahead and watch her together because she says it brilliantly.
450 illegal immigrants were just arrested in an automotive plant for Hyundai in the state of Georgia. 450 illegal immigrants were working in the Hyundai plant in the state of Georgia, and they were apprehended. I don't think people truly grasp what this means or how this reflects this country or how it correlates to how so many of you are struggling to make ends meet or support a family. A lot of you guys bring up the fact that back in the 50s, a man could work at an auto plant and make enough money to support his family, raise children, have a household, and have a good quality of life. But the American dream is dead because every time I try to find a job, I can't find one that makes a livable wage. That's why, because that's who you're competing with. Because those auto workers were middle-class workers, right? They used to be all unionized. guys, and they had benefits, and they had good pay, and they had pensions, and now you've got illegals coming in working for peanuts, even though the price of cars keeps going up, and now you can't find a job to be able to support yourself. 450 blue-collar American jobs just in that town alone were stolen by illegal immigrants from that one plant. And there are thousands of auto plants all over this country. It really makes you wonder how many tens of thousands, if not millions of Americans are missing out on those blue-collar middle-class jobs where they could support their lifestyle, have a family, live the American dream. They're incapable of it. The irony is people can come here from other countries undocumented, cross our border illegally, and pursue supporting their own family, but Americans that are born here can't. This isn't a race problem. This isn't a lack of acceptance of other people's culture problem. This is people coming here and completely destroying our economy and destroying our middle class. This is what the death of the middle class looks like. An inability to get a job where you can support yourself, where Americans historically used to be able to, because people are coming here illegally and working those jobs for next to nothing because they weren't raised here, so they don't know the value of an American dollar. And as a result, we all suffer. If you're struggling to support yourself or to be able to raise a family yourself or have your own household, then you're asking.
All right. It does. Think how many factories around the country are probably employing illegal immigrants. Why? Because they don't have to give them health care. They don't have to give them 401k, paid time off, emergency time off for a funeral. They can literally grind these people into the ground. You've got Tyson Chicken that was busted for hiring children. You've got marijuana farms in California with kids under the age of 14 picking marijuana for free because there's no parents. They're literally orphaned. Really despicable. And this is why they wanted 20 million illegals to flood in, so that they could fire you and hire somebody who would live in a house with 5 other families and work for peanuts. That's why. This is a huge deal. And then you've got morons.
Watch what salt does to your body.
This 7-second artery flush could save your life. Even top doctors.
Over here, look at this. Republican Lieutenant Governor of Indiana causes outrage by advocating for 40,000 Haitian migrants to be moved into Indiana. This guy wants to bring 40,000 people from Haiti instead of American workers and let them go to work. Now, I have nothing against Haitians. I've met several of them. They're really great. The poverty over there is like nothing you've ever seen in your life. When I lived in the Dominican Republic, I saw poverty so bad, it scared me. So I get it. I get why they would want to come up here. Billions and billions of dollars, and they weren't able to rebuild after that horrible earthquake. Now they're saying, listen, we've got Americans here on welfare. We've got people that can't make a livable wage. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll bring in 40,000 people. Can you imagine 40,000 people that don't speak English, that don't have skills being dumped into a small town? It's a recipe for disaster is what it is. And now you've got a Republican governor begging, please let us bring in 40,000 people from a different country that speak Creole and don't have a work ethic because their country doesn't have the same values as America. It's crazy. All right, now, President Trump is asking the Supreme Court to overturn a federal appeals court decision saying he has no authority as the chief executive of America to negotiate tariffs, to leverage tariffs to end wars, to get what we want around the country. A 7-4 appeals court ruled against the president, saying he has no authority. Attorney General Pam Bondi blasted the ruling, saying that the president does have authority, needs this for U.S. global leverage, authority so that the Trump administration can move forward. Now the Supreme Court is saying we're willing to take up the case, but probably not until summer of 2026. In the meantime, President Trump has said This remains in force. Now, I love President Trump. He is the #1 memer on planet Earth. Look at this. As he announces that he's going to go into Chicago, he posted, "I love the smell of deportation in the morning. Chicago's about to find out why it's called the Department of War." So he's clearly letting Chicago know we are coming. We are coming to clean up crime, drugs, arrest criminals, and get illegal immigrants out. Now, let me know in the comments, do you still support President Trump? Just think about how many jobs are taken by these 20 million illegal immigrants that could go to Americans. Spots at school, literally. The teachers in our district are complaining. I don't have time to work with the American children because I've got to speak with a Chinese student, with a Haitian student, with a Spanish student, and they don't speak their language. So it's eating up time, money, and resources that should go to your family because you're paying property taxes, because you're paying income taxes. So, but this is what the government wanted. They say, oh, there's no such thing as replacement theory. And then they're trying to replace us all the time. The product of white supremacy. Well, they're replacing whites. They're also replacing blacks. You know how mad black people are in Chicago to find out their YMCA was taken over, their school systems were taken over, the illegals were getting $5,000 to $10,000 a month in grocery help, that they were literally being given checks where they could outcompete residents of Chicago for rent.
Yep.
It's a slap in the face.
Chicago's
Hopefully there's a lot of change that is coming. And now President Trump is saying we might go into Louisiana. The murder rate in New Orleans is out of control, and we've got to clean it up. President Trump genuinely feels that as president, it is his duty to keep America safe, to close the border, and to make us as rich as possible. And I, for one, voted for this. Let me know in the comments. If you voted for this, I want you to type, I voted for this. I want to hear from you guys. All right, I love you so much. I've got an incredible interview coming out later today. Probably one of the best I've done. I'm really excited. All right, I love you guys. Stay amazing, and I will see you on the next video.
Hoy vamos a hacer una práctica de un diseño
commercial. Come on.
de dinosaurio para pintacaritas, ya que necesitamos nuevos diseños, pero
English.
President Trump is systematically breaking down the Democrat Party. They're full of terrible ideas. They've got no leadership, and they're running out of money. Why? Because he's drying up all of their sources and ratting out the ways that they are cheating. To help me go through this, I have Dr. Jerome Corsi. Dr. Corsi, thank you for joining me again.
Always a great pleasure. I enjoy your show greatly, and I truly appreciate your audience.
Absolutely. We appreciate your time. For those that don't know, Dr. Corsi is a writer and author. He also has his own show, and we'll make sure to put a link to that down below, Corsi Nation. Really, really great information. I want to talk later in the show about the anti-globalist manifesto that you wrote. But something that has been bothering me, President Trump shut down U.S.A. It turns out it was a giant money laundering operation for Democrats, the CIA, the military-industrial complex. A lot of people got rich off of taxpayer money. Now it looks like there's traction with this Act Blue and how they've been taking in foreign. Help me understand what is going on and President Trump's big push for election integrity.
Well, Act Blue is, I've taken it into and President Trump has announced that Act Blue is under criminal investigation. So the issue was basically a whistleblower, Sean Taylor. Sean was a police officer near Nashville, Tennessee, and he found that up through the waterways was coming drugs from the border, and unaccompanied minor children being sold into sex slavery. When he investigated, he found out that there was a scam going on. The people who were running this scheme were getting out, buying houses for $100,000, and they were getting mortgages of $1 million that were booked on LexisNexis. They showed up that the loan was made, but it didn't show up in the deed. In other words, this was money laundering. Somehow they managed to get the proceeds from the child sex labor and from also the trading of drugs into banks. And then by buying houses, they got so-called mortgage loans, these magic mortgage loans that were flowing to them in huge amounts, way above the loan to value of the house. Sean also found the same kind of phenomenon going on in Act Blue. When the heads of Act Blue have reported would buy a house in Palo Alto, California for $1 million and get $50 million in mortgage loans out from the banks. As I saw this magic mortgage scheme, so I said, where did the money come from? Well, Mike McCormick, calling for the impeachment of Joe Biden during the Biden administration, one called it an almost insurmountable evil. He was a White House stenographer with Joe Biden for 6 years, and he tied it to an agreement that the Biden administration made with Honduras in 2014 called this Alliance for Prosperity. And they made it with a guy in Honduras who's the president of Honduras, now in prison for being part of the Sinaloa drug cartel. And the agreement was they were going to open the border, and suddenly in 2014, these 100,000 unaccompanied minors appear in the border, and we get the drugs flowing in from the Sinaloa drug cartel, and we get in fentanyl from China. So the linkage is, and I strongly suspect that once we get the financial records, we'll be able to determine that the Biden administration found a source of money to fund Act Blue. What they did is they got banks to take in the money from the sex trade, children's sex trade, and organ harvesting in the border. They got money that was involved with the Sinaloa drug cartel, cocaine trade, and the fentanyl from China. They put it into a bank, and then they funneled it up into the NGOs, non-governmental organizations. Money was a Democratic juggernaut, and it gets put into Democratic political campaigns, people running for office, and the drug money, the child sex money is all taken out through this magic mortgage lending scheme that the Democrats, I believe, have engineered in accordance with several banks. In fact, it looks like 3 Canadian banks are involved, including TD Bank, Toronto Dominion. And I have a report from the Justice Department Criminal Division that says from 2014 to 2024, TD Bank did not employ required financial reporting for money laundering. They were laundering over $10 trillion in money in TD Bank. I've got an official government report that states $10 trillion went through Dominion TD Bank without being accounted for according to money laundering scandals or standards. This is a huge scandal, and the Justice Department is investigating it.
Okay. This kind of reminds me of what Elon Musk exposed, where George Soros is putting up $1 million and then getting $1 billion of taxpayer money from Congress. He ends up looking like he's this philanthropist and putting up all of his own money, and really he was stealing our money. That's kind of what they're doing. If they can get a $100,000 house and get a 10x loan, and then they dump that money in order to keep their evil people in power. I mean, it's arbitrage, it's leverage, it's illegal.
I think if we, God's Five Stones, we're reporting this in God's Five Stones, our 501c3. That's G-O-D, no apostrophe in the S, and you spell out the word five, F-I-V-E, and stones is plural, God5stones.com. We are raising more money because I believe firmly that we can destroy the Democratic Party with this story. Once people realize the Democratic Party was using child sex labor and organ harvesting to fund its NGOs and its political candidates, I don't think the Democratic Party is going to continue to exist. I think this is just a crime that it's an unconscionable evil to think that you would take children and steal them from their parents, destroy their lives.
Serve my country, and now I carry legally everywhere I go. Here's how. National Concealed Carry Reciprocity is here, meaning that if you
steal them from their parents, destroy their lives, I think what we're also going to find out in the Jeffrey Epstein case, now that we have the victims speaking out. So I think we're going to find massive governmental involvement. You can't run a drug cartel or a child sex trade without a bank, because there's a lot of cash involved. And you can't put the cash in the back of a semi-truck, and drive up to a lunch stand and take out $100 bills to pay for your meal. You got to get the money into a bank. And so the banks are participating in huge amounts of money laundering schemes. We're finding that the Department of Justice is increasingly investigating these mortgage money laundering schemes. Another one was announced today, I believe, against this woman in one of the government departments that Trump tried to fire. And then Loretta James is under investigation. All these people are under investigation. Mortgage and Adam Schiff. Mortgage fraud seems to have been something the Democrats were utilizing. And it's an astounding story, but we're able to document it. And the Department of Justice is taking it seriously. It's not just that they stole your identity to make contributions in political campaigns, but the Democrats were using this money in billions of dollars to go into supporting NGOs, non-governmental organizations whose purpose was to destroy America. And the Democratic Party has evolved from being a communist party to being a treasonous party, or a party that's in fact a narco and child sex trafficking pedophilia party. The Democratic Party's got a lot of problems. I don't think it's going to go down with the American people once the Trump administration fully investigates and brings the power of the Justice Department to bear on criminal indictments.
Yeah, I look forward to covering that here on the show. I didn't Chase Bank have to pay like for allowing him to money launder?
Yeah, you're going to find that the Jeffrey Epstein is also going to be a massive money laundering scheme. International banks were involved. I'm hearing that Deutsche Bank might be involved. I can't prove that yet, but I've got good suspicions international banks were involved in Jeffrey Epstein's schemes. There were massive foreign government involvement. There was massive intelligence agency involvement. And these victims are going to be the key to telling the story. The victims will give the list of who were the criminals using the Jeffrey Epstein system. It was a massive intelligence operation that was, again, funded with money laundering. And it was designed to compromise people in order to be able to, film them having sex in compromising situations for blackmail purposes. This is going to be an evil, evil scheme. And I think I'd well advise Donald Trump to get on the right side of this one, which is we need the truth.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I'm going to put a direct link to God's 5 Stones so people can read about that and donate. Help me understand this. Last week we get this incredible bombshell report. Trump's tariffs are working. Nearly $1 trillion a year could be brought in. The Congressional Budget Office, which usually goes against Republicans and is ultra conservative, they're saying, wow, of national debt. And then within a couple of days, there's this lawsuit that goes through saying it's illegal. The chief executive doesn't have the authority to negotiate on behalf of the United States. He's ended wars with this. He's brought in like trillions of dollars of trade. Almost $1 trillion of new income to the United States, and now it could all be shut down. Your thoughts on that?
Well, and bringing back manufacturing to it, which he's doing an investment back into the United States where it belongs. Trump is trying to restore our fiscal soundness, and he's trying to restore the middle class and to jobs the middle class is designed to take. Now, it's another anti-Trump judge trying to make a universal declaration way beyond the judge's authority. Tariffs are in the Constitution. In fact, they're one of the very few mechanisms the Constitution specifies that the federal government can use to raise revenue. The Internal Revenue Service is not in the Constitution, neither is the Federal Reserve. They both came in 1913 under Socialist President Woodrow Wilson, who was an Hegelian. At Princeton, you had Woodrow Wilson teaching Hegel's theories, which were a predecessor to Marx. So again, the tariffs are in the Constitution. The president has the authority to negotiate them. It'd be a travesty. The Supreme Court needs to take this immediately and restore the authority. Exercise Article 2 powers for the benefit of the nation. This judge is not authorized in the Constitution to try to overturn this kind of a presidential action. I think it's a disgrace, and I hope the Supreme Court acts quickly.
Yeah, I read yesterday that in Biden's 4 years, they had to request an emergency hearing. Trump's already had to do it 22 times in 7 months. You can just see how they're trying to strip his authority, humiliate him, neuter him, make him not the chief executive, but just like a trophy. Becoming president as a trophy now.
Well, all the Democratic Party is doing and these judges are doing is destroying their own credibility. The American people are not going to tolerate this. American people are seeing that judges are supporting, Venezuelan gang members dealing narcotics. They're supporting MS-13, mother rapers, father rapers, child rapers who are plaguing our country with illegal crimes. The Democrats are supporting gender dystopia and gender operations on children who have not yet reached the age of puberty. Democrats are on the wrong side of every issue. They're destroying our cities. Donald Trump, I think, is doing the right thing to send in the National Guard and even the military in Washington. I think he's going to have to do the same thing and get these homeless out of the streets. You can't have people defecating in the streets. These Democrats have destroyed the cities. I think the American people are tired of it. Of the traditional values of this country, which have to do with God and morality. If we want to have Democrats running, crimes of the nature they're running, letting, Soros funding judges who let criminals go after they're apprehended by police with bail that has no dollar value to it, release them back on the streets immediately. This only undermines law enforcement and undermines the whole quality of our ability to maintain law and justice in the country. Donald Trump is right. Exercises his authority as, under Article 2, chief executive and also commander in chief to make sure that we have secure cities if the Democrats running these cities won't do it.
Losing weight can feel like an uphill battle, especially with the American diet. From nasty seed oils that hurt us to high fructose corn,
to being worth.
Come on.
What your litter robot bundle says about you. The litter hopper bundle. You're a busy planner on the go. You're always looking out for future you, and she thinks,
to being worth $68 million. We have too many millionaires in Congress. AOC is making millions of dollars now, being in her position while she's railing against capitalism. We've got to have term limits. We've got to. And Harry Truman was right. The only way to make money in politics is if you're a crook. And the best way to be a crook is to sell out to the lobbyists. They'll be happy to pay for you. Or to communist China. There's just too much money around right now that is being used for illegal purposes. And I think Doge was doing a good job of tracking it down. And President Trump is doing a good job of tracking it down. My solution to the entire bureaucracy, as well as move it all to Death Valley and give them all the Quonset huts and solar and wind that they want. The only way to get rid of this bureaucracy and to get rid of Congress, which is bought and paid for, is to expose the corruption. Nancy Pelosi making money with insider trading in the stock market. It goes on and on. Chairman Mitch McConnell married to Elaine Chao. Her family is worth millions, if not billions, in China. And if Mitch McConnell didn't do what the Chinese wanted, her family in China would be dead. Mitch McConnell goes to China and he gets, blessed with millions of dollars from the Chinese. Too much money.
There's so much, man.
And
New Jeffrey Epstein information is uniting and dividing members of Congress. President Trump orders a boat carrying drugs to America blown out of the water by the military. President Putin continues to lie to President Trump, and Trump seems to be losing his grip on ending the Russia-Ukraine war. Plus more details. Fauci lied to President Trump, and I can tell you from sources, he is not happy. Thank you guys so much for liking and sharing these videos. There's a lot to get through, so let's jump right into the news. Yesterday, President Trump announced that the U.S. military conducted a precision strike on a vessel in international waters. The operation targeted a boat carrying illegal narcotics from Venezuela, operated by Tren de Aragua gang members seeking to bring drugs to the United States. Trump stated that the strike killed 11 individuals, narco-terrorists, bringing drugs towards the United States. The attack was part of an escalation where the U.S. military is down in the South Caribbean, keeping an eye on Maduro and trying to block drug traffickers. Now, Secretary of State Marco Rubio confirmed the strike, noting it targeted a vessel that had departed from Venezuela, carrying cocaine, fentanyl, and other drugs, likely headed to Trinidad and then up to Florida or other parts of the southern United States. President Trump shared a video about this, and Venezuela is saying it wasn't our boat, that this was AI, but then now they're saying, how dare you blow up one of our boats? This could be considered an act of war with the United States. Also, there's a $50 million bounty on the head of Nicolas Maduro, the president of Venezuela, that the United States does not officially recognize as president. Now, let me bring this up and I will show you what President Trump had to say and then tell you about this. Now, early this morning, he says, on my order, the U.S. military forces conducted a kinetic strike against positively identified Tren de Aragua narco-terrorists in the Southcom area of responsibility. Tren de Aragua is designated a foreign terrorist organization operating under the control of Nicolas Maduro, responsible for mass murder, drug trafficking, sex trafficking, and acts of violence and terror across the United States and Western Hemisphere. The strike occurred while the terrorists were at sea in international water, transporting illegal narcotics heading to the United States. The strike resulted in 11 terrorists killed in action. No U.S. forces were harmed in this strike. Please let this serve as notice to anybody even thinking about bringing drugs to the United States. Beware. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So President Trump is not messing around. He has said that he wants the death penalty for drug dealers. He has said that he does not want America. Want them in schools. He doesn't want them on the street. Now, Democrats are going absolutely bonkers. And you can see here, I'll just read some of them. Drug trafficking is a crime, not an act of war. Traffickers must be arrested, not summarily executed, which U.S. forces just illegally did. All I can say is that I hope Trump is using actual evidence that these are actual drug traffickers and gang members in Venezuela, unlike what he did with the 280 immigrants who he sent to Setcot prison for being gang members without any legitimate evidence in many cases. They also said, why didn't the Coast Guard board them and arrest them? Why didn't we just interdict the vessel in U.S. waters and arrest the crew? Let the Coast Guard do...
Hey, stop playing with your fanny pack. You need the Bearskin Tactical Hoodie 4.0.
Just interdict the vessel in U.S. waters and arrest the crew. Let the Coast Guard do their routine duty. So they're now saying that Trump is a war criminal and that he was wrong to do this. Isn't that amazing? Anytime he does something, he says we need to lock up criminals, they defend criminals. He says we need to get rid of illegals, they want to get rid of, or they want to keep illegals. Allow them into the country. So whatever he does, they just say that he's doing a bad job. Let me know in the comments what you think. Now, Nicolas Maduro is saying, hey, wait a minute, we're going to go to war with you. And Trump is saying, don't you even dare. So this could be escalating, and I'll continue to keep you updated. All right, now turning to Jeffrey Epstein, the House Oversight Committee has released 33,000 pages of Jeffrey Epstein-related documents from the Department of Justice, providing the most detailed look yet at the trafficking that this late financier did. Of course, he's now dead, but they are uploading it and making it digital so the internet sleuths can crawl through the information, AI can crawl through the information, and let us know what it finds. Now, earlier today, Congressman Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie held a press conference where several Epstein victims were allowed to gather and share information. I'm going to go ahead and play one of those now so that you can hear what was said from this Epstein victim.
Boy, Jeffrey, but he told me that if I wanted to succeed as a Ford model, he could make it happen. And he was right. He introduced me to Katie Ford and many others in the entertainment business. His grip on the modeling business was undeniable. Not just the Ford family, but Victoria's Secret, Faith Cates, Jean-Luc Brunel, Victoria's Secret. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion. He could make a model's career. What I didn't realize then was that once he lured someone like me in, he could also... In New York City, countless young women were abused by him. Everyone in the industry knew, yet he was too powerful to stop. He had friends in all over entertainment and arts, and his value to those friends made him untouchable. But I ask you, why? Who was he to our government that he was allowed to operate openly for decades? Why was he allowed to sponsor visas for young models, using their immigration status as leverage to abuse them and silence them? Epstein was not just a serial predator. He was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew this. Many participated, and many profited. And yet he was protected. I know what it's like to be trafficked to others. And I know that the files contain the names of powerful men who have been shielded because of their fame or their fortune. So I stand here today, not just for myself, but for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed.
Okay, so another person came forward and said that she was trafficked on the same plane heading to Africa as former President Bill Clinton and many other people. She also remembers clearly and that she is preparing with her lawyers to release those names. Now, this other victim that you just heard from, she went on to say that if the government doesn't come forward and start telling the truth, that she and others are going to do that for them. Let's go ahead and listen to this part of her message.
Transparency is justice. Release the files, end the secrecy, and stand with us in declaring that no one, no billionaires, no politicians, not world leaders, is above the law.
That's right.
And let me announce now, several of us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list of names. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know were regularly in the Epstein world. It will be done by survivors and for survivors. No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details on that. Because history is watching, and so are the women who will come after us. Thank you.
All right. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we about to get the names of the wealthy, the political, the entertainment space, the richest people in America? Are we going to get those names? These women say if the I hate to even say this, but you could have just put a target on her own back. And I hate to say that, but not long ago I reported about one of Jeffrey Epstein's victims being killed. They say it was a suicide. They say the other lady was a suicide. Many people connected to the Clintons suddenly decided to unalive themselves. So it does make me a little bit nervous. Now, this same group of victims that came forward, they were asked in a private interview if President Trump was ever involved. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon. Did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
Watch what magnesium does to your bowels.
If you have to wipe more than 4 times after you poop, here's why.
Doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
No. Again. That's not going.
Okay, so they went around the room saying no. So not one of them saw anything with President Trump, no crimes, no inappropriate behavior. So I've noticed there's a different energy with the Epstein situation with Congress back from break. They're not trying to connect. So now they're trying to find out who the names are so that they can shame and humiliate that person. I will continue to keep you in the loop on that situation as well. All right, now, yesterday, I told you how President Trump is very angry because he's just now learning that Pfizer has been lying to him about the success of Operation Warp Speed. Remember when he used to brag about Operation Warp Speed, how it was the right thing to do, how he pulled strings to make this happen, that he saved millions of lives? Well, now he is furious. He is finding out that he has been lied to. I'm not gonna read this to you because I already did that yesterday, but he's mad. He is saying, you need to justify, because I am hearing and seeing and reading things. I've got people coming forward to me, and I want the truth. This is how RFK Jr. got dragged into the vaccine war, where they've been lying and manipulating the American people for decades. Now Trump is saying, I want to know what the heck is going on. And I found this interview with Peter Navarro where he opens up about the lies to President Trump. Listen to what Peter Navarro had to say about Pfizer and Fauci lying to President Trump.
Fauci, when he was sitting there, that SOB knew for a fact that virus came from the Wuhan lab. He knew that because he had funded the gain-of-function research in that lab, and he had already begun to design a cover-up. And we know that from the emails he sent to a group of researchers, academics, trying to get their support to push that come-from-nature theory. And that's the biggest lie of omission in American history. Because if he had simply owned up to the fact that that thing came from the lab, we could have pressured the Chinese to give us the genome sequence, which would have allowed us to design an effective vaccine rather than the crap we wound up getting. And again, Trump got lied to about that, not just by Fauci, but by Pfizer, the drug company.
In what way?
They didn't disclose the side effects of that. And they weren't clear with him. They made him think that it was a true vaccine when it's not. It's mRNA technology. And, you know, I worked with a guy named Dr. Robert Malone. You have him on the show sometime.
We had him.
Yeah. It's like the way. I mean, Malone was out there beforehand, but I had him on Steve Bannon's War Room when I was guest hosting. He sat kind of like you and me are sitting, Patrick. And we talked about all this and wound up writing a 3-part series in the Washington Times about how the universal vax policy would basically spawn mutations that would be more lethal. Oh, you don't have to get too much into that. But my point is that day, that January 28th day, was a very significant one, overlooked in the history of the pandemic and in American history.
All right. So this is one of Trump's top advisors coming forward saying, we now know for a fact that Fauci funded this and began the cover-up early on. And then Pfizer lied to the president of the United States. Why? Because there were billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars on the line with guaranteed clients paid for by the American government. So now Trump is just now finding all of this out almost 5 years later. It's insane that we're just now getting to this point. But I wanted to bring this to your attention because it's a really, really big deal that he won. But Congress continues to bury us in debt with reckless spending. They're just now back in office, and you kick the can down the road and spend us into oblivion. Bank failures, exploding debt, the BRICS nations attacking the U.S. dollar, inflation eating away at your paycheck. It's all converging, and the U.S. dollar is buckling under the pressure. Our currency faces threats from every angle, from Russia to China to the BRICS nations and other foreign powers. But it's Congress. Congress is the biggest enemy of the American people. And honestly, I wish it wasn't this way. I don't want it to be this way, right? But this is one of the reasons that I have protected myself with gold and silver. And you can protect yourself and your future as well. Don't let Washington's failure.
Another one. There's a thing that one gets to see, but I don't know if it's on this. It should have been played by now. There's one thing that's very important. You guys listen here.
This is the absolute best phone holder for your car. Your phone clips right into it, and it attaches to your rear view.
There's an important thing on you all to hear.
Now pressuring Europe to stop buying Russian oil. He's saying, what is the point of these sanctions if you guys just do these backdoor deals in order to buy oil from Russia? This keeps the war going, where they're losing 7,000 people a week. Now, Alex Jones had Colonel McGregor, and I thought it was a good clip. So let me go ahead and show this to you now, and then we'll react to it.
Big was this China meeting with Putin, Modi, Xi Jinping, and others. They've demonstrated the most high-powered lasers that just vaporize aircraft, huge drone demonstrations, laughing at Trump's threats.
Oh.
Finally, these illegals are getting deported as they should have been, all thanks to President Trump. Remember when they said mass
drone demonstrations, laughing at Trump's threats? Stop BRICS. What happened?
The people at that meeting, including Modi, represent more than 40% of the global population, including its energy, minerals, and industry. They are essentially saying that they will not be bullied or debanked by the United States. Their central banks are cutting U.S. treasuries. They are buying gold, and they are hedging against Washington's chaos. The bottom line is that Trump's bullying tactics have failed. This entire tariff business has been a catastrophe. For instance, right now, India is slapped with 50% tariffs because they buy Russian oil, which they have to, and they're not going to stop. The Taliban in Afghanistan pays 15%, Pakistan 19%. Those are the two countries that have been breeding grounds for Islamist terrorism. of the world, not exclusively in the Middle East or in Afghanistan. India has never been our enemy. India may not be right now as a result of these tariffs. The Indians have canceled $35 billion in jets ordered from Boeing. That means that 150,000 machinists and line workers in Charleston, South Carolina, and Everett, Washington, are at risk of losing their jobs potentially. This is just stupid. We need to understand these are civilizational states. We need to treat them as equals, not as inferiors.
Now, where do you predict this goes?
Predict the whole tariff thing is going to bring us down. We're going to watch the bonds spike. That's already begun. When the 10-year bond hits 5%, we've had it because we can't service the debt. Remember, we have a $9 trillion bill coming due at the end of this year. We're not going to be able to pay it. We have to restructure the debt. But you're not going to restructure the debt with the people that own a large part of it overseas if you treat them as the enemy. And frankly speaking, China is the one where we needed to sit down and come up with a new approach. We still do. It's not the rest of the world. That's our biggest trade deficit. But instead of doing that, we just went to war with everybody all over the world. It's a catastrophe.
Oh, I understand we had one-sided trade deals. We've had some success, but the Ukraine war drove Russia into China's arms. I hope you're wrong on that front because we're in dire economic straits if this doesn't pull off for Trump.
I hope it doesn't, but unfortunately, I'm rather convinced it will. And, I'm not by any stretch of the imagination the Lone Ranger out there. You can bring on Peter Schiff or James Ricards or Luke Groman or Jeffrey Gundlach or Nassim Taleb. All of these people will tell you the same thing. We're in an impossible position right now. So we've needed to cut spending for a long time, and we haven't done it. So now it's going to be imposed on us if we're going to survive at all.
Yeah,
all
right.
So, always like what the colonel has to say. I will correct one thing. He said 36 billion canceled, 150,000 jobs are on the line. I disagree with that. It's actually closer to 3 billion. And with the $250 billion of planes that are picked up in the Middle East, Boeing can't get to that $3 billion anyway. So nobody's going to be losing their jobs. But this is why I was saying earlier that Congress is the biggest threat to America and the future of America. Their reckless spending is out of control. Trump is doing what he can, but now they're trying to block his tariffs. We might owe that money back. I've got some people coming on to absolutely wild. All right, let me know in the comments what you guys think.
Wish you had a professional business address and phone number instead of your home address and personal number? Are you looking to...
As you know, the brain itself feels no pain.
This doesn't really say. Hold on one second, guys. I want you guys to see this one.
So it won't feel a thing.
Go back to the book. What's in your head? There's one that
What's up, guys? Spenny. I like being consistent on this channel, and for years we have barked that Joe Biden is...
All right. I don't know why they skipped all the ones that I want. This is the one that I want you guys all to see.
What's up, guys? Spenny. Absolutely earth-shattering breaking news about the relationship between Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein just broke. Yeah. I think perhaps accidentally from the Speaker of the House. This changes absolutely everything in a week that's already been jam-packed with Jeffrey Epstein news, including the Jeffrey Epstein victims saying they're going to create their own list, that Bill Clinton is on that list. They said so, even though reporters refused to ask about it. One of the victims said that Bill Clinton was her victimizer and that she flew around the world on Africa on the Lolita Express with Bill Clinton. Nobody asked a follow-up question. Isn't that amazing? All asked about Trump, and none of the victims said they ever met Trump or knew Trump or saw Trump at all. They all said that live on camera. And most importantly, they said that different administrations assisted in the cover-up of the Jeffrey Epstein crimes dating all the way back to 2006. The Bush administration than through the Obama and Biden administrations. And so these are breaking news events. We decided earlier in the week to frame all of it up. And this is what we posted. We went super viral. We post and 49,000 likes. And here's what we said. Most important video on X right now. And it's true because they just held a press conference on Capitol Hill. Attorney for the Epstein victims standing outside of the Florida courthouse confirming that Donald Trump is the only high-profile figure that helped him prosecute Epstein. Here's exactly what the guy says. The only thing I can say about Trump is that he's the only person that picked up the phone and said, let's talk. I'll give you absolutely everything.
What I can say about President Trump is that he is the only person who, in 2009, when I served a lot of subpoenas on a lot of people, or at least gave notice to some pretty connected people that I wanted to talk to them, he is the only person who picked up the phone and said, let's just talk. I'll give you as much time as you want. I'll tell you what you need to know, and was very helpful in the information that he gave, and gave no indication whatsoever that he was involved in anything untoward whatsoever, but had good information that checked out and that helped us, and that we didn't have to take a deposition of him. That was in 2009. That was in 2000.
So this is President Trump, and this was confirmed, by the way. This is the Capitol Hill testimony and press conference. This is the same lawyer saying
President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now,
so this is the same lawyer saying the same thing, that it was only Donald Trump, only President Trump that assisted in putting Jeffrey Epstein's scumbag behind bars. Now, this matches a number of other firsthand accounts that we've heard on this program and in the public arena of members of Mar-a-Lago, famous writers, people that knew both of them at the time. Donald Trump kicked Jeffrey Epstein out of his club. He banned him. He had nothing to do with Jeffrey Epstein after he found Donald Trump seems to be the only guy that did that. He has guys like Bill Gates cuddled up to Jeffrey Epstein even after he caught a case for underage sex trafficking. That kind of explains and locks in all of this. Speaker Mike Johnson confirmed a rumor that we had heard over the past couple of months. Rumor was that President Trump was assisting law enforcement in locking up Epstein. This is perhaps why Donald Trump is so angry about all of this, is that people are saying that he's part of it. He was the only guy that was like actually helping out. That's according to the lawyers, but now according to Speaker Mike Johnson as well. Sure. Nancy Mace says that she's worried about crossing Trump on Epstein. Donald Trump is the one who banned Jeffrey Epstein from Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant. He talks to the feds. He talked to the feds to get this guy turned over. Trump is a hero in this, said Nancy Mace earlier in the week. Do we know that Donald Trump was an FBI informant? Is this publicly known knowledge? And now, lo and behold, here's the Speaker of the House saying it. Donald Trump was an FBI informant.
Saying that what Epstein did is a hoax, it's a terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to try to take this stuff down. The president knows and has great sympathy for the women who have suffered these unspeakable harms. It's detestable to him. He and I have spoken about this as recently as 24 hours ago.
We had never heard this before. That President Trump was an FBI informant. Listen to this.
Terrible, unspeakable evil. He believes that himself. When he first heard the rumor, he kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago. He was an FBI informant to
try and take this stuff down.
Did you know that, Jericho?
Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, somebody who's very close to Donald Trump. Well, as you can imagine, many people said, interview. This is a walk and talk interview from a CNN reporter. His name's Manu Raju, and it's here from this longer clip that was posted on his account. So first off, real clip, 100% real clip, and you can go ahead and watch the whole thing if you care to on Manu Raju's unverified X account. So dumb. They won't pay for verification. How cheap are these people? Asked if Trump should meet with the victims. I suspect he probably will. Says he doesn't think that a discharge petition will succeed, and levels sharp criticism of Thomas Maxey. This is, of course, all that anyone is talking about in my timeline. President Trump, Speaker Johnson has revealed that Trump was an FBI informant to take Epstein down. If this is true, why not brag about it? keep trying to shut down the convo. I mean, maybe this is them finally bragging about it. Speaker Johnson just said that Trump was an FBI informant in the Epstein case. Johnson outs Donald Trump as an FBI informant. Whoa. Boy, howdy. And you can see this clip is cooking. I mean, doesn't that make sense, given everything that we know about Donald Trump in that moment, given everything we know about what Trump has said to the lawyers? The lawyers have said about Trump? During that exact same time period, we know that President Trump was kicking, that he was, while he was close to Epstein in the late 90s, when Epstein was wormholing his way into elite society, that he immediately that he turned on Epstein and never looked back. How about this? I mean, doesn't this make a lot more sense in context of President Trump's nascent political activity? When Donald Trump was running for president the first time in 2015, 10 years ago, President Trump was asked about Jeffrey Epstein. And he said with absolute specificity who was guilty in the Jeffrey Epstein saga, and talked about Little St. James when nobody knew about Jeffrey Epstein's island. Nobody knew about Epstein at all.
Bill Clinton. Nice guy. Got a lot of problems coming up, in my opinion, with the famous island with Jeffrey Epstein. A lot of problems.
Boy, he was right about that. Here's another one from the same event, 2015.
Well, I think he's got a problem. I mean, I'm here. I don't know, but that island was really a cesspool. There's no question about it. Just ask Prince Andrew. He'll tell you about it. The island was an absolute cesspool. So
it starts with this. She needs it. Them too. Lots of us do.
The island was an absolute cesspool. So.
Goodness gracious. So this now has broken forward onto the national stage. And these kind of old clips now suddenly make a ton of sense. If Donald Trump worked with the feds to put away Jeffrey Epstein, if he knew, but nobody knew who Jeffrey Epstein was. Nobody knew about the island. Jeffrey Epstein was a free man. He wasn't incarcerated or in jail. Jeffrey Epstein was a free man. He was just walking around. Crazy things to say, unless you absolutely know that they are guilty and they won't sue you because they're guilty. Like, this is what President Trump was saying. President Trump worked then with the FBI to try and put away Epstein. Epstein was saved, most likely, by his deep state friends, CIA, Mossad. I don't know. I'm not sure. I sure as hell hope we find out. This actually makes a ton of sense based on Donald Trump's behavior. Donald Trump, FBI informant to take down Jeffrey Epstein. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it is wild times. I guess it can always get crazier. Fascinating. Fascinating.
Today, I'll show some of the darker sides of Congress and government. You'll understand why deep in your belly you love your country but don't trust your government. Alex Jones and RFK Jr. will show you the depths to which Big Pharma and the deep state will go to poison. President Trump is systematically breaking down.
Everything that one there.
New Jeffrey Epstein information is uniting and dividing members of Congress. President.
You know, the brain itself feels no pain, so it won't feel a thing.
What's in your head? What's up, guys? Spenny. I like being consistent on this channel, and for years we have barked that Joe Biden is not only undeserving of the presidency, but incapable of managing the world's toughest job because he is so sickly. He has a horrible health record, and we just learned a few months ago that Joe Biden has a terminal cancer diagnosis, stage 5 prostate cancer metastasized to the bone. That is a death sentence. We don't celebrate it. It just is what it is. They were trying to run this guy again for president when he clearly couldn't handle it and was not going to be around. Just call it what it is. Every one of us have an expiration date. This is what it is. Joe Biden had a tough run in his life when it comes to health, In 1988, Joe Biden suffered numerous episodes of increasingly severe neck pain, underwent surgery, brain surgery, on a leaking berry aneurysm. While recuperating, he suffered a pulmonary embolism, a serious complication. Joe Biden has had really bad complications for years. Joe Biden has openly talked about that in very strange ways at the White House. Here's Joe Biden saying, you know, they had to just cut my head open a few times, just a few.
This is what happens to a 60-year-old man if he only washes his face with beef tallow. After 1 minute, the skin becomes...
Joe Biden saying, you know, they had to just cut my head open a few times, just a few. Ladies and gentlemen.
I had these terrible headaches, was diagnosed with having anyway, they had to take the top of my head off a couple times, see if I had a brain. But all kidding aside, what happened was...
Hard to watch. I mean, it's hard to watch, honestly. Looking back through it, it's total elder abuse. Anyway, that elder abuse continues to this day as they continue to trot Joe Biden out to try and make political statements, I guess, turn him into an influencer, become a TikTok influencer like Kamala. That's what Kamala's doing right now. You know, instantly, some of the first days of the Biden regime, so-called, Joe Biden shows up with a boot. The dude was severely unhealthy. He shows up in a boot, double masking because he was yanking his dog's tail naked in the shower and slipped and fell over. That's the official story here. I kid you not. That's the story. Just keeps grabbing his dog naked in the shower. Still one of the most unintentionally hilarious clips of the Joe Biden era, and I just can't help myself before we get to the more recent video, is this clip where on CBS's news broadcasts, the seasoned anchor believes that the fake videos, when they're actually real, Joe Biden is so drugged up, you can't really tell which Joe Biden you're talking to today.
I'm going to ask you about.
You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-cop. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-democracy. You can't be pro-insurrection and pro-American. Donald Trump lacked the courage to act.
So what did you think of this one? He didn't blink. Not at all, right? So that suggests it's fake. This one's actually real. How's that? And
It's not actually that funny. The reason why he's like this is because he's taking all these cancer drugs. They're doing all this, they're doing all this severe cancer treatment, and it's what makes him so drowsy and so zoinky. Anyway, the point is that we put up with this again and again and again and again. We had to watch this happen where Joe Biden looks just like a ghost. I mean, he just looks like a corpse. All right? And actually, I'm like the best friend Joe Biden has in the world, which means I'm the only person that's sane here. I'm the one who's saying he doesn't deserve to be in the office. Let him go to a old person's rest home where he belongs, where he can take multiple naps a day. That was what the kind people were saying at the time. Now, we did watch Joe Biden hit his head a few times. Joe Biden, with that brain aneurysm, was often and regularly, here's just one example, hitting his head. There's Joe Biden hitting his head. Ouch. Boink. Biden gets off, nearly falls down the stairs, and does his little robot walk. But apparently Joe Biden hit his head really hard this time. Because in a recent video that has surfaced from just this weekend, Joe Biden can be seen with what must be a 6-inch scar on the top of his head. Yeah. Right there. You can see right there a massive scar on the top of Joe Biden's head here in this video. I have multiple videos, and I'll show you that you can see the scar from every angle. It's not just like bad lighting. You can see what looks like almost stitches inside of the scar, and that Joe Biden has taken his hair and has tried to pull his hair down over the scar itself.
Democrat Party, let him go, please. Tell him stop.
Just crazy. What? I mean, maybe he just fell down. You can see here, again, here's from the same day, Joe Biden looking gaunt and ghastly. You can see the massive scar on his face. Joe Biden with a massive scar across his face. He had a terrible fall or perhaps a surgery. That is why we brought up the embolism and the aneurysm that Joe Biden suffered from because, it just is the reality. They have done multiple brain surgeries on Joe Biden. Did they do another one?
Yeah,
Now what that is.
You can definitely see the scar.
They had brain surgery on Joe Biden again. Or did he take what would have to be a horror? I mean, truly, like if you have a gash, that is a 5-inch gash across Joe Biden's skull. Something bad, really bad happened to him. Even for old people, that's a terrible fall.
What do you think happened?
And looking gaunt and thin. Joe Biden then wearing, later in the day, Joe Biden wearing a hat in order to cover up the scar. Let's see Joe Biden.
Does he got two-way screaming in both hands?
Wearing a hat there. Again, looking incredibly thin.
He's calling for
more
ice.
Gaunt and more frail than usual.
What
yeah.
the fuck is he doing?
Wearing his own hat. Okay, so that's 46 on it. They wanted to make this man president again.
I serve my country, and now I carry legally everywhere I go. Here's how. National Concealed Carry Reciprocity is here.
And take a video. This is the raw Joe Biden scar. And you can see Joe Biden. And later on, they're trying to cover it up.
Well, the whole family, yeah, exactly.
We've taken the stance on this channel to not delight in people's suffering or to call for the harm of any person in the country. We want every American to live happy lives. We disagree with people. We don't call for violence. We never do. We never will. But man, somebody, there was some type of violence, right? Whether it's just Joe Biden falling down the stairs. What happened to Joe Biden's head? This is what everyone's saying. What's going on with Joe Biden's head? What happened on his head?
What do you
Joe
think,
Biden has
Jericho?
a head laceration. I mean, to me, it looks like stitches. But what do you think? Looks like potentially stitches, but it's clearly a massive open cut. There you go. Joe Biden's head. Stitches, recent surgery scar. His hair is combed over it, so maybe that's giving the impression of stitches. I don't know. Large scar has been spotted on Joe Biden's head. Several recent photos of him wearing hats. So that's why he's wearing the hats. I don't know, man. We're not going to wish for anything bad to happen to anyone on this channel. We'll never do it. But again, I'm the best friend in the world to Joe Biden. He should have listened to me years ago. Joe Biden needs professional help and professional care. He's a very, very old person, and he's aged very poorly. And so you need to take care of yourself and stop falling down the stairs and bashing your head at the bottom of the staircase, or bashing your head on the side of the table when you pass out, or falling out of bed. Or maybe this is, again, a surgery scar for something far more serious. We don't know. We know that Joe Biden is currently suffering from terminal cancer. That's what we do know. So
it's Epstein season. This could be the end of the Trump administration, because this is going to run the media for a long time. I've done my warning against this. I believe it's a Democrat psyop.
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have been given. But it's really a Democrat hoax, because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president.
However, I am going to defend the victims, talk about the victims, give you every piece of news that you need to know about Epstein, even though I'm telling you the context is this is a Democrat operation. Welcome to Doug in Exile. This is where the Happy Patriots are. This is proof that I give you the news, that you can subscribe. You're not going to miss out on everything, even if I think this is a giant Democrat operation. I think there are facts that we need to address, and I'll also make my case the whole time on what media is doing with the Epstein investigation. This is going to start with Rep. Paula Luna, who I think is wonderful, beautiful, an incredible MAGA patriot, and wrong on the Epstein files. Here she is on the latest of, they brought in 6 major victims. We'll hear from all of them in this show also. And they gave their testimony, and she's going to tell you how my theory, which is not one new factoid, has been presented to the public. Watch.
Well, there's 33,000 pages that have been released. I have to at least look over some of them. I'd like to get through all of them before I decide whether or not I'm going to do that. But I think that they've basically released everything except for the victim information, which obviously we don't release that. One thing to note that today when we're actually talking to some of the victims, one of the women stated that at 14, when Epstein started to victimize her, that she has no recollection of some of the stuff that was done to her. She's hoping to find that out so that she can actually bring it to her therapist and continue the healing process.
Okay, this is a victim that has no knowledge even what Epstein has done. This sounds like there's a lot of kind of, my feeling is it feels like an E. Jean Carroll thing. The victim blocked everything out. She can't wait to get the information come out so she can remember and bring it to her therapist. Just
look, if this had been released years ago, plumbers might have been out of jobs by now. In our home, no matter which drain gets clogged,
and bring it to her therapist. This is all Democrat language, guys.
So what they're trying to do with the Epstein hoax is get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about because they're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands of pages of files. And I know that no matter what you do, it's going to keep going. And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
More of Anna Paulina, but she admits, Anna Paulina goes, they don't know anything. They don't have the actual thing that they're looking for. They're hoping it's going to come in these 33,000 pages of documents.
The damage and the trauma that was caused to her. So, but from what I'm being told, from what I'm hearing, there's a lot of very wealthy, bad people. It's actually scary to hear some of the stuff that was brought forward. And so I think the only way to collectively attack this is as a group and as a whole, meaning that Democrats and Republicans have to work together and back home or subpoenas.
That's Anna Paulina saying you will work with Democrats. Democrats have one agenda. They do not care about victims. Top MAGA people saying we're going to work with Democrats in the name of the children, in the name of the victims. I don't buy it at all. Not one new factoid. She goes, the things that I've heard, she's heard. That's not evidence. And I'm a skeptic. I want hard evidence.
I think this is going to be pretty hairy.
Is there more information beyond these 33,000 pages?
Well, there's going to these girls are not just making this up. These are some of the wealthiest people probably in the world. And we'll start with that.
So these are probably the wealthiest people in all the world. That kind of language just bugs me. Probably. Is it or not? Name them. I already have all the list of names. All the princes and all the royalty. Same rumors. She still hasn't gotten one piece of hard evidence to bring to you, the public, on this thing. What this really is supposed to get you off on, we're going to finally get the wealthiest people in the world. We're going to get them. I'm all for getting them, all for it. But there's a reason why this has been dead for a long time. But now, just so you know, this is being politicized today. It is to take the camera off of Trump's accomplishments and get all of media on this scandal. By the way, everyone's over the trans shooter shooting 2 Catholic kids. That's last week's thing. Off it. It's now Epstein season.
individual people that are part of this?
Apparently, in these files that just dropped, I have not been able to look over all the files again. There's 33.
I'm talking about in the meeting.
I haven't looked at the files, but apparently I know what's in them.
There are some people named, yes.
Were there any public officials that they named?
No, but very, very wealthy people have been named.
Can you name out?
They told us not to because they don't want those people to start basically burning files. So I think this is going criminal investigation for sure. I will say that what's the DOJ for getting it to us. I know that some of the delay was due to redacting victim information, and so we'll see where it goes from here.
The DOJ did not get it to Bongino, Kash Patel. I'll give a defense of them too. And then she goes, oh, and because they're trying to protect the victims, which is really why this thing was not going to go forward. Here's more of Anna Paula Luna. I'm going to hear from all sides on this thing by the end of this video, guys. Here's Anna.
The biggest thing that stands out to me is the victims themselves have stated that this is a lot bigger than I think anyone anticipated. We are obviously going to be requesting the SARS reports from Treasury, and also following up on that. There's some very rich and powerful people that need to go to jail. I think everyone's been frustrated as to why that hasn't happened before. But it is very...
That's just my chat about everything, though. The public in general is angry that no one goes to jail. Almost no one ever goes to jail. Only Trump went to jail. Justice is slow. Do you know why? Because they have to go through 33,000 documents. And this is 25 years after the case. And no one cared about it until it was very good to roll this thing out and stomp all over Trump's agenda.
Very much so possibility that Jeffrey Epstein was a intelligence asset working for our adversaries.
There's a very good possibility that Jeffrey Epstein was an asset. Still, no information on Jeffrey Epstein being an asset. And in my chat over on Twitter, all of my comments are from the same anti-Semites that go, and we know it's the Jews. It's the Jews. So far, what we know is the U.S. government has said that if they are working with a Israel, they're probably going to pin this whole thing on Qatar. And then all of my chat goes, I'll bet they're going to protect the Jews by blaming Qatar. So I'm just giving you guys the language that's being used and all this stuff already. But Anna Paula Luna doesn't know. She goes, I've heard, this.
But also, too, I think the questions that we have is how much did our own government know about it? And so there's more to follow, and I'm sure you'll be hearing from the chairman momentarily.
How much did our government know about it, guys? How much did Trump know about it? Trump said it was a hoax and that it was a Democrat thing, Democrat hoax. That's what Trump said. That's what our government said. That covers us from 2016 to 2020, and that covers us from 2024 till now. And the Biden administration, we don't know what they knew. What do you think Biden knew about it? I don't think Biden knew he was even president.
I do applaud the victims from coming forward, because we heard from a woman who was as young as 14 years old when she was victimized multiple times by Jeffrey Epstein. So that's hard to hear.
So the youngest victim was 14. We all knew that already. The youngest was 14. Most of them were 17 and a half, 18, 17 years old. 14 and a half, we knew, was victimized by Epstein. Epstein's dead. No justice is coming for Epstein. He's dead. Ghislaine Maxwell was in a maximum security prison, a terrible prison, but the Democrats and Republicans demanded she get moved to an easy country club resort type prison so that they could get her testimony. So the only other person that we know of who is guilty of abusing these girls is Ghislaine Maxwell, who was given a lighter sentence because she agreed to testify to placate the masses.
When you signed the discharge petition, the massive discharge petition?
I think that the files will probably be released prior. I don't know why Comer hasn't. I think that he should do it, so it wouldn't even have to come to a vote. But
why do you think Comer hasn't released the files yet? Is he compromised, or is he on the Trump agenda?
Obviously, I've been a huge advocate, even when I was the only one in Congress calling for the release of this file. So I think I'd be happy to, yes. Thank you. The victims want information to be out there, but they don't want their personal information, I think, for good reason to be out there. So I think from the get-go...
The victims don't want the information out there to protect themselves. And now I'm going to show you some talk shows that feature all the victims making hush money, doing book deals, and looking pretty happy as supermodels to blow this thing up. They want the information out there. Trump said he wants the information out there. He wants a transparent thing, but he's kind of throwing a side issue going like, yeah, fine, I don't care. You know, it doesn't affect me at all.
Even the Attorney General stated that there's victim information that you have to make sure that's private, being that some of the victims also, too, are as young as 14, that's child pornography. No, thank you, guys.
Yeah. The victims don't want to show videos of them on video servicing people. Here's Tim Burchett, another one. Here's Tim Burchett.
Homeowners everywhere are ditching solar panels for this. It powers your entire...
Tim Burchett.
These ladies were mistreated, of course, by Epstein and Maxwell, but also mistreated by our government. And we got to rethink the whole files thing. Apparently, there's some files that they don't want out.
We got to rethink the files thing. Before we wanted them out, now we don't want them out to protect the victims. And so far, the only names named are Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein, and our government victimized them, he's saying. Is that the Trump administration, Tim Burchett? Sorry.
I've said all along we need to protect these young ladies, but they're ladies. I guess they were young, they were kids when it happened. So, we need to make sure we do that. And I think we're going to get there. I think we're going to get to the right spot where we can release everything that needs to be released. But again, in our rush to do this, we have to protect these ladies and these others that were involved.
So he's changing his tune. He went from release everything to, hey, in our rush to release this information, we have to protect these victims. When they started hearing their abuse stories, they're going, we're not going to re-abuse these victims. Or we're going to be, the people demanding information are going to be the ones who re-abuse child victims. For people to go, I can't believe you want to protect this child victim. No, you're protecting them by protecting their identity for a mistake they made when they were maybe 16 years old.
Is that what they were advocating for in there, to keep something private?
A question and answer, but they made a statement, and I asked specifically about certain files. I don't want to disclose too much because obviously, but yeah, I think we need to protect these young ladies.
Are you still going to sign on to Massey's discharge petition?
I got to clarify that we can protect what they need to protect.
So just so you guys can see, this reveals everything to me. Tim Burchett is like, we have to release all files. It's the same accusation they made at Pam Bondi and Dan Bongino. You said on your desk you had a list and you were going to release it. Well, then they look at the evidence. He had a look at the evidence. And he said, holy cow, we can't rush this thing out. Our new goal is to protect the victims. That's what's putting the brakes on this thing. People are going like, there's no justice. It's a cover-up. It's a cover-up to protect victims where there's, probably videos of them being sodomized. They're like, I just don't want that out in public, okay? This is how bad it is. I want to show you guys because this, to me, is the key video to this whole thing. This is Nancy Mace, who herself is a victim of the R word. Watch her when she comes out of this thing. We'll tell you everything. And she does not grandstand. She's not doing a book deal. She's not raising money as a Republican. Watch her face as she walks out of this thing. No questions answered, crying. Look, this of abuse. Shaking her head, no, I will not answer a question. That's what we're trying to protect. Big picture. I hope you guys can all see that this is more important than people going to jail. You do not want to re-victimize these people. You can't take it. And of course, the politics are all lining up against who? They're all Speaker Mike Johnson and Comer. There's Comer in the background there. This is a call to act breaking. The White House just slammed the massive Kana Epstein discharge petition as a very hostile act to the administration. Hours earlier, Speaker Mike Johnson called Trump the most transparent president in memory, probably in the history of this country. Here's what's actually happening. Rep. Thomas Massey's discharge petition could force a House floor vote on the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which would require the DOJ to release all unclassified Epstein-related documents, the 200. And they're saying that Mike Johnson and Comer are part of a cover-up conspiracy.
I've spoken to the president myself about this many times, and he is insistent as we are. He is the most transparent president in memory, probably in the history of the country. As you know, he stops. If he were here now, he would stand here and take your questions endlessly. That's his mindset, and he wants the American people to have information so they can draw their own conclusions. I've talked with him about this very subject myself, so I can tell you that is his heart. Now, he also, just as we do, is insistent that we protect the innocent victims, and that's what this has been about.
And that's what is in conflict. Now, people, of course, idiots, jump in and say, Mike Johnson's compromised with the Jews and AIPAC, and Comer and Trump, they really don't, Mike Johnson isn't, yes, he is. He's MAGA. He's Trump's right-hand man. He's a good spokesman. Here's more. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer. I can tell you from listening. Well, I'll let him say it. How's that? Let's let him talk.
We're not going to leave any stone unturned and do everything we can. I think you see both parties. The fact that Mike Johnson sat in there for 2.5 hours listening. We're serious about this, and we want to not only get the American people the information they want. Everybody wants to know who some of the people were that were on the island. They want to know, was the government involved? But I can tell you from listening to the 6 survivors in there today that the government has failed them because they've reported this to the FBI, they've testified, they've given depositions, and a lot of the people that they implicated were never charged for anything. So we're going to do everything we can to make this right for the victims, as well as get the American people the transparency.
I believe him. He says we're going to give transparency to the American people. He said the government failed them. These find out if there's a government involved. Is it us? According to the Democrats, the Trump administration and Republicans are covering this thing up to cover our people up. Here's from the Democrats, Rep. Robert Garcia. Do you believe, Comer, that Trump's being transparent? Here's Rep. Garcia.
2 things. One is Donald Trump has the power right now to release all of the Epstein files and documents right now.
It's Trump. Look at the bald lady in the back on the left there. It's Trump. Jasmine Crockett. Do these look like sympathetic, nice people to you? Are these people interested in the truth and victims? It's Trump. He could release it. It's Trump. This is Democrat marketing. They've never been happier. They are getting off on this. They're going, we finally can step all over Trump's accomplishments. We're going to run the media for the next 6 months on this juicy thing.
DOJ is refusing to release the documents that have been subpoenaed. So there is a White House cover-up at the very highest level in getting the American public the information.
It's the DOJ. It's Pam Bondi. It's Pam Bondi, everyone. Are you believing this? Are you repeating the Democrat talking points? Whole lot of people on the right are. Democrats, I got to hand it to you guys. You succeeded. You really divided MAGA. You split us in half 50-50. You've got half of them accusing the government of part of the cover-up. Hats off. Good strategy. Not true, but it's a good strategy.
To bring justice to these victims, and I think it's very important.
Oh, yeah, you care. And just as they care about the victims. They don't care about the molesting victims when it's the teachers them to another district without charging them. They just move them to another job to abuse them further. They don't care about victims when it's 300,000 illegal aliens released to people that are not their parents here in the country, and they vanish. This person here does not care about Vic. That's one thing I know.
For everyone to understand that. The second thing that's important
marketing
is in the days ahead, we already know we're going to hear from some of the victims tomorrow. We're going to be hearing from other victims in other ways in the days and weeks ahead.
They're setting up victims against Trump and against Republicans. Pay to play. This is another E. Jean Carroll, guys. This is E. Jean Carroll. I don't remember. We already said from Anna Paula Luna, they don't remember the exact time. They just need someone to fill in the day for them. This is E. Jean Carroll. I don't remember what year it was I was attacked. They're going to bring out these victims who are going to get $20 million book deals. How much money do you think anyone would get paid right now if they bring up Trump's name or a prominent Republican of any kind? How much money will Reid Hoffman give them? How much money will Letitia James give them? How much money will Act Blue give them? How much money will the Democrat National Convention give them after they invented the Steele dossier to run up against Trump and Russia? Democrats are giddy. That ought to make you and I pretty concerned. This is the only thing they've had in media to run on. They have nothing else.
It is very important that we believe these women, that we believe these survivors.
Not the Clinton, not people that Clinton abused. We don't believe those women. Juanita Broderick, who I follow on Twitter. They don't believe her. They don't believe Tara Reid, who claimed Biden abused her. They do not believe women. Don't you believe this, guys? They don't want to believe these victims. They think they're getting some juicy meat on some Republicans or Republican allies.
We honor that, and we work to bring them justice. Two things. One is...
Yeah, okay. So that's the fraud Democrats we already know. But who's joining the fraud Democrats? Here's Thomas Massey. Trump hater Thomas Massey. He looks like he's on steroids. I've never seen him this excited.
To change colors. No.
Steroids. I've never seen him this excited.
Well, the question is, why are they doing the pressure?
Look at
why are they? Why do they? Because they don't want the files released. Look.
He's talking about Republicans. Why are Republicans dragging in? Look at Thomas Massey. He's so smug here. Because they don't want the files released. They're protecting themselves.
If my legislation were redundant, why would the White House be trying to stop it?
The White House is trying to stop it. Look at that smile, guys. He hates Trump. Thomas Massey is anti-Trump. He wants to take over MAGA and bring it over to the libertarian side. I got you dummies. I got half of MAGA. You're suckers.
One out there,
White House,
that my legislation would cause to be released, and that even the White House doesn't believe that the Oversight Committee is...
Even the White House is in on it, according to Massey. We got more Massey. I'm just hoping you guys see. I'm giving you all the evidence. All thing. The Epstein files is an anti-White House thing. That's why Thomas Massey's excited. I think Anna Paula Luna's a sucker. I think Comer's a sucker. I don't think Trump's already said we're not doing this. Pam Bondi, Bongino. And then what does everyone say? They go, oh, they've been purchased by the Jews.
The president's called it a hoax. He's called it a hoax. I hope he doesn't say that after tomorrow when 10 of the survivors testify in public. That would be very disrespectful.
The president called it a hoax, and then Thomas Massey goes, I hope he doesn't say that after tomorrow's testimony of 10 survivors, even though Thomas Massey doesn't know what they're going to say. He doesn't know the testimony hasn't happened yet. Everyone has all of the facts. All they have to wait for is for them to catch out and come out. So though he doesn't know, he's going, I hope Trump doesn't call it a hoax after tomorrow. That's a threat. That's a threat. He's finally going to wrestle this party away from Trump. Here's more Democrats on how bad the Republicans are. This is Rep. Yasmin Ansari, Democrat Oversight Committee.
There is so much to this story that nobody knows. There are decades worth of stories and information, and a cover-up of this capacity.
It's a cover-up, but no one knows what the information is. No one's released anything, not one factoid.
To have allowed for the abuse of over 1,000 women over the course of decades, and then stories that demonstrate that.
Over a course of decades. So about Obama and Biden, because that would the decades would cover them, or is it just
to perpetuate the abuse beyond, even after the public knew? We know there's a lot more to this. And I think
public knew, but there's more to it, even though we don't know what more to it.
I think that this is the most corrupt administration in American history.
Oh, it's this administration. It's the Trump administration is the most corrupt. Are you guys getting it yet? Has anyone cracked the code and figured it out? Or are you still following all those other channels that are trying to get you off and get you all excited about the Epstein files are going to be great? This is awesome strategy. People who do not care about children. She's for aborting children at the 8th month in the womb. This person's for children. Total cover up, 300,000 missing children. She's excited about victims. Oh, they're excited about victims because they're going to get Trump. The most corrupt administration is the Trump administration.
This story shows it more than anything. So
story more than anything. We're going to run this marketing, guys. Who here? Have you unsubscribed to my channel yet? I'll lose 100 subscribers on this. They'll go, Doug, you're part of when did the Jews get to you? When did AIPAC? Are they funding this channel? I've had people accuse me of that. I'm just saying, why are the Democrats so excited, guys? They care about victims.
Keep fighting in honor of the survivors who are brave enough to put themselves out there for truth and justice. And we will not back down until there is full accountability and prevention from this ever happening again.
CNN, man, they're just chomping at the bit. These are good times for CNN. There's Rep. Jim McGovern, also more Democrats.
I got to tell you, I think what's going on here today is the Republicans are terrified. The president doesn't want to release all the files.
Oh, the president. It's Trump. MAGA's terrible. MAGA covering up child trafficking.
I mean, after promising that he would release them during the campaign.
Oh, yeah.
Then that was in 2024. And then
he sounds like my chat. He sounds like all the people unsubscribing right now. They're repeating Democrat talking points.
2025, he says, it's all a big hoax.
Yeah.
It's perpetrated by Democrats and some stupid Republicans.
Yeah.
So you say all Republicans want this stuff released. I don't think that guy does.
That's right. I don't. Trump has said be transparent. You can release it, but protect the victims. I don't want victims re-victimized.
Well, you're telling us that you're going to release some of the files tonight. If I heard Mr. Garcia correctly, 97% of which is already out in public. Why can't the administration just release the files? Trump and the people he put in charge of the FBI and the DOJ promised that they would. And it's just kind of strange that they haven't done so yet. I mean, don't you think?
Yeah,
I mean, we just want to know, what are they trying to hide? Well, why is this such a difficult thing for them to do?
Because it's very difficult for us to re-victimize victims, to release video of a 14-year-old having a sex with a hairy-backed 50-year-old, some Saudi Arabian prince. That more damage can be done. All I know is you don't care about justice, and I know this. Here's Congresswoman Mary Gay Scanlon, also a Democrat on the Rules Committee, saying, why would this... Now she's blaming this administration, the Trump administration. We got suckered on releasing the Ghislaine Maxwell, being moved to a minimum security prison. So remember, they're going like, she offered testimony if she got this easier prison sentence. Then we gave her the minimum security prison sentence. And she gave us nothing, not one new fact. Why did they? She's blaming Trump. Here goes. You ready? We're being suckered.
Ghislaine Maxwell getting this cushy assignment. My understanding is that when she was moved to this new facility, that was against Bureau of Prison regulations, and someone higher up from the White House or the Attorney General's office would have had to excuse that normal Bureau of Prison.
It's the White House and Pam Bondi. So first MAGA attacks the White House and Pam Bondi and goes, we got to hear from Maxwell. And they go, okay, fine. Well, her negotiation is you have to get her in this other prison before she'll talk. So then Pam Bondi and Trump, reluctantly, though they keep saying it's a hoax and a distraction, fine, they move her there. Nothing comes out, of course, because there's nothing to see. And then a Democrat comes and goes, why is the White House? So then they get attacked from the other side. So they get attacked from the pro-Epstein MAGA side, or they get attacked by Democrats. And this is going to be an attack by Democrats. Trump goes, I did not want to give all these sharp weapons to the other side to stab me with. He'll probably end up in prison. This could be the end of the MAGA agenda if we're not careful. That's why I'm warning you guys. Keep your eye on the ball of Trump's accomplishments, and because this is Democrats on steroids.
Rule.
Yeah.
I knew this day was coming. A drone so advanced, so dangerously affordable, that the government
is Democrats on steroids.
Rule.
Yeah, you guys did this. Now, got to hear from the victims. This is my comment on it. Here's Mike Single says, us survivors know this is the victim all dolled up in makeup on a talk show on NBC. Epstein survivors reveal they're compiling their own client list. And I wrote, the victims had 20 years to release their own list of clients to save other victims who could have been damaged by them. And it never occurred to them to do that until now. This is another, in my view, this is another E. Jean Carroll. Here's one of the, but I'm not pro, stomping on victims, but this victim is on TV. She doesn't want to go anonymous and have her name redacted. By the way, many of the victims got multi-million-dollar plea deals to not say anything.
So what would you say to the Department of Justice as they were pursuing these conversations with her?
Yeah, what would you say to Pam Bondi?
They have emails, they have flight logs, they have a list they've compiled, right? And I feel like if they're not going to release this list to the public that everybody wants to see, we want to know who it is. A lot of us survivors know. We've been compiling lists of our own, and we have so many other survivors. Please come forward, and we'll compile our own list and seek justice for, on our own.
Yeah, we don't know about a list, but we know that it's out there. We want other victims, though we don't know what happened. We want you to come out and be part of our list. We're going to put together our own list. You haven't put together a list in 20 years, and you could have gone after child predators, released a list of clients, made it public. You were free to do it, and you don't do it till this week, when Trump starts getting accomplishments. Here's Rep. Jim Govern on Thomas Massey's release. I just signed Thomas Massey's discharge files. If Speaker Mike Johnson wants to block it, he has a fight on his hands and a lot of explaining to do. These are Republicans fighting Republicans now. Congratulations, everybody. You did it. Thomas Massey, it's filed. Your congressman can now sign the discharge petition to force a vote on binding legislation to release the Epstein file. Release them. Gee, I haven't heard that before. They're releasing 33,000 files. And they're like, release more. It's not enough. This thing's ongoing. More Thomas Massey on release the files.
Says jobs, the economy. Those are always the big issues.
He's saying Trump says jobs and economy are always the big issues. But he sees a bigger issue. Do you?
You really can't solve any of that if this place is corrupt.
So now Thomas Massey in front of the White House and the Capitol building, the White House is corrupt. This place is corrupt. Forget about jobs. Forget about Trump's agenda, what he's doing this week. This place is corrupt. Thomas Massey, Rhino.
If this place is corrupt. Well, I mean, if they're going to cover up for rich and powerful and politically connected people, which
Trump.
is still what is happening right now here.
Are you worried about the blowback that you're facing from the White House, from the president? He continues to attack you for taking steps like this.
Look, I got 3 billionaires right now running ads against me in Kentucky, and one of them's in Epstein's black book. So I'm not worried about it. I've already opposed.
Did you hear that? Trump said the primary fighting ads against him, and one of them's it's about Epstein. They're really trying to, Trump and his billionaire buddies are trying to cover up Epstein. I don't believe that 1 second. Sorry, I'm MAGA. Bye, everybody. I'm MAGA. Sorry. Don't believe this guy. Trump and he have had conflict forever. That's what this is about. This is about the politics of personal destruction. Yeah. He is seeking revenge on Trump. CNN, look at CNN giving him a microphone. CNN's going to give Thomas Massey, Republican from Kentucky, all the time he wants. He's doing their job. Democrats can't find anything to win. They finally found something. Thomas Massey.
Hornet's nest here. And, once you're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. We're going to get these files released.
And Massey was sharply critical about an effort by Speaker Johnson to put a resolution on the House floor that would essentially support this ongoing investigation by the House Oversight Committee. He called that resolution.
Speaker Johnson said we're going to do an ongoing investigation. Thomas Massey is against Mike Johnson doing that, claiming it's all their way. Let's hear from another Democrat. They sound a whole lot like Thomas Massey.
I want to say to anyone out there who is currently experiencing abuse of any kind, we see you.
We see you. Unless you're an illegal, we see you. Unless you're being molested by a teacher in a school union, we don't see you.
Are here fighting for you.
No, you're not.
And we will fight for justice for every person who is experiencing sexual violence. Is actually about. But I want to be clear that what we heard today is a cover-up. And it is a cover-up of epic proportions, a cover-up involving the United States government, the justice system, rich and powerful individuals, a cover-up potentially involving foreign countries and foreign actors. And yes, here today in this House, as our colleagues are up in the House chamber in the Rules Committee, a cover-up by the Republicans in this chamber.
It's the Republicans. It's Mike Johnson in the chamber and Trump and Pam Bondi and Chuck Grassley is the cover-up. She's Thomas Massey in a dress.
Because as you will find out in the coming days and weeks, this goes all the way to the top.
Oh, the Trump administration. It goes all the way to Donald Trump. Do you see it? They're telling you. Believe them when they tell you. This goes I could go on and on with this stuff all day, guys. This is a giant mess. I've never seen the Democrats this happy in a long time.
I've learned in my 2.5 years that it is impossible to put yourself in the head of the Republican majority and the leaders of the Republican Party. They continue to come up with different ways of caving to Donald Trump, Congress a week early because he didn't even want to deal with these Epstein files.
Mike Johnson's in on it, guys. Get Mike Johnson. Get Mike Johnson. He's a rhino. Do you see why I understand that Mike Johnson is a huge threat to Democrats? He's Trump's right-hand man. Trump is the greatest threat, and they see an opportunity to divide MAGA. Don't fall for it. Mike Johnson is not a rhino. Pam Bondi's not a rhino. Dan Bongino's not a rhino. This guy does not care about victims or the Epstein files. They have to this is Trump derangement syndrome, hiding behind victims of child abuse.
But the fact of the matter is this is a cover-up. This is a massive cover-up. They're not just stonewalling. They're trying to do it through charades and sleight of hand, so to speak. But they are covering something up. This Donald Trump was hot to trot, and Kash Patel and Dan Bongino were leading the charge to release the Epstein files. Now, all of a sudden, they don't want them released. They are trying to hide something. And by releasing these documents, most of which have been released before, others will not have any relevance.
The only thing the Democrat knows that if Trump wants to cover it up, we have to release it. Now, I have been saying for a long time, the real victims are alive today. Not of Epstein, of child abuse. No one's done more than Kash Patel and Donald Trump to actually end current child abuse because they care.
1,500 kilograms of fentanyl is enough to kill 115 million Americans. 115 million Americans. Cops are getting after it. The FBI has arrested 19,000 people this year alone. Thanks to President Trump's administrations, that's double than where we were this time last year. And we have also arrested 1,600 people who have committed violent acts against children. 270 of them are human traffickers of children. Mr. President, this is what happens when you have great leadership at the Attorney General with him.
They have already ended more child abuse than all of the Epstein victims combined just in Trump's first 7 months. So this administration actually does something about current people who are violent against children and trafficking children. 10 times more victims have been saved by the current Trump administration than 20 years of playing Epstein files. He doesn't have to qualify to me that he cares about children. I stand with Trump, Bongino, Pam Bondi. I do not stand with Thomas Massey, who's using politics to exact revenge on Trump, and the Democrat Party that are now running a media narrative, and the media just loves it because they think you and I are stupid. We're not. We're not going to fall for this. I'm Doug in exile.
Right. All right. So. All right. Well, thank you for everybody for tuning in tonight. Looks like Jericho is gonna be heading out. There's a lot of good things there. And there's more things that I'm exhausted. It's been a long day yesterday, and today still gonna keep on going. But I do know there is a protest going on in Chicago, but You guys gotta help out towards the fund. I can't just keep going there for free. Bottom line. But in the meantime, y'all can enjoy your weekend. You don't have fun. I'm trying to do everything I can do. So, listeners, you heard it many times. Many times. They said no. Trump was not involved. Trump was not there. You heard it from 2 different people. Multiple different people said it. No. Trump was not there. You heard it all. So you guys need to stop your bullshit and stop lying to the American people. Tell your Democrats to release the fucking files. We, the people, demand justice. Okay? It's the Democrat Party is the ones who's refusing to release the files. Okay? That's what it comes down to be. You're welcome, Jericho. That's what it comes down to. It's refusing to release the files. It's not Trump. It's your Democrat Party. And it's in very clearly that everybody keeps saying the victims have said themselves that Trump was not there. That Trump wasn't. Many victims said it. But you guys want to brainwash the fucking people these days. You want to brainwash and make them basically people that believe in Trump. All this shit. You guys need to stop your bullshit lies. I'm not going to deal with it. Okay? I know what you're all doing. I've caught on your shit for years, man. All the bullshit. Lies and lies. Just like you guys keep doing, trying to attack me. You try to attack everybody who does live stream. It's getting old. So grow the fuck up. Get a life, guys. Go actually go to church once. I believe in God, man. But guys, there's a lot going on. There's a protest, yes, there's one in Chicago more. Well, this ICE thing. But we need money, guys. I can't afford to keep doing this all the time myself. And our channel is 100% theater funny. And I see that you guys, a lot of libtards here like everything for free. I can't do it. Things are not, free right now. So, you guys enjoy. Thank you guys for tuning in. But I'm enjoying my day. My night. That was my night. And tomorrow. So, because I got church tomorrow.